For the last decade, there was a plan. A quiet, almost secret plan, passed between working-class Americans in forums, in retirement groups, in late-night Google searches. If America gets too expensive, I'll go to the Philippines. And it worked. Cebu, Davao, Dumaguete, Clark. Beautiful cities, warm people, a dollar that actually meant something. It was the last lifeboat off a sinking ship. Washington just blew a hole in it. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the last thing I'm going to show you, the part about where the smart money is actually moving, that's the part they don't want you to reach. Most people click away before they get there. They stay confused. They stay broke. They stay priced out. Don't be most people. I'm not talking about inflation. I'm not talking about exchange rates. I'm talking about $2.5 billion funneled directly into the Philippine archipelago. That is quietly, systematically, and deliberately turning your retirement paradise into a military fortress. And when a country becomes a fortress, the rent goes up, the food goes up, the danger goes up, and the dream dies. If you had a plan, a backup, a lifeboat, this video is going to show you what happened to it. We're going to follow the money, from Washington to Manila to your grocery bill. Every claim has a source. Every number has a paper trail. The conspiracy is the policy. Let's rewind to understand what was actually happening before any of this. For roughly a decade, the Philippines was doing something remarkable. It was absorbing the financial refugees of the American empire. Retired veterans, disabled workers, remote employees, digital nomads, small pension holders who couldn't afford California, couldn't afford Florida, couldn't even afford Ohio anymore. They were landing in Manila, in Cebu, in Iloilo, and discovering that $1,500 a month bought them a life. A real life. A house, a helper, a community, healthcare they could actually pay for. Now ask yourself, why did nobody on mainstream television ever talk about this? Because a working-class American living well in Southeast Asia is a working-class American who stopped needing the American system. And the apparatus noticed. In 2024, the United States approved a $2.5 billion security assistance package for the Philippines. On the surface, it sounds reasonable. China is aggressive in the South China Sea. The Philippines needs defense support. America is being a good ally. That's the headline. Here's what's underneath it. When $2.5 billion in military infrastructure floods a developing economy, American contractors arrive. Military construction begins. Land near bases gets acquired. Logistics networks get built. And suddenly, the land your retirement bungalow was sitting on? It's now adjacent to a strategic military installation. Property values spike. Local vendors start pricing for American military dollars, not Filipino pesos. The cost of living in key retirement corridors, Clark, Subic, Cebu, begins to climb. The $2.5 billion wasn't just a security package. It was a gentrification bomb, dropped from 30,000 feet. And the Filipino middle class, the OFW families, the foreign retirees, they're the ones standing at ground zero. Now let's talk about something that's not getting nearly enough attention. The Philippines is facing a fuel supply crisis. Washington's chaotic foreign policy posture in the Middle East, the threats to the Strait of Hormuz, the proxy conflicts bleeding into shipping lanes, is not just a problem for Europe. It is strangling the Pacific Rim. The Philippines imports the majority of its fuel. When those supply lines get disrupted, when a tanker has to reroute around a conflict zone, that cost doesn't disappear, it transfers. To the tricycle driver in Cebu, to the rice farmer in Nueva Ecija paying more for fertilizer, to the OFW family in Pampanga watching their grocery bill double, To the American retiree in Dumaguete, whose peaceful $800 a month budget just became $1,400. Here's the question nobody is asking. Who benefits when a developing nation becomes economically dependent on American military presence to feel safe? It's not the Filipino farmer. It's not the OFW. It is, as it has always been, the military-industrial complex and the Wall Street institutions that finance it. Now let me show you the chessboard, because this isn't just about the Philippines. This is about the end of an era. For 50 years, the global economy ran on one thing, the petrodollar. Oil priced in dollars. Dollars backed by American military guarantees. The world buys oil. They need dollars. America controls the tap. That architecture is fracturing. Saudi Arabia is accepting yuan. Russia is trading in rupees. BRICS nations are actively building alternative payment rails. And South Korea, one of the most important industrial economies in the free world, is already rationing energy and freezing semiconductor production as supply shocks ripple through the Pacific. When the anchor currency of the global economy starts losing its grip, the empire doesn't go quietly. It militarizes its allies. It builds forward bases. It makes its strategic partners so dependent on American security infrastructure that leaving the dollar arrangement feels like suicide. The Philippines is not just being defended, it is being locked in. And the people who dreamed of escaping by moving there just discovered the empire followed them. Let me be direct with you now. The working class, American, Filipino, OFW, has always been the last to know and the first to pay. The engineers of this arrangement are not incompetent. The chaos you're watching is not a bug. Here's how the mechanism actually works. When living costs rise in the Philippines, Filipino workers demand higher wages. Higher wages make Filipino labor less competitive. Less competitive labor invites more foreign corporate investment. More foreign investment deepens dollar dependency. And dollar dependency deepens American leverage. The arrangement isn't broken. It is extracting exactly as designed. And here's the cruelest part. Nations across the global south are building their own lifeboats. The de-dollarization movement is real. It is accelerating, and it is deliberate. But the American working class, the retiree, the middle-income family, they are not being invited onto those lifeboats. They are being left to foot the bill for an empire they never asked to run. So where does this leave you? If you're an OFW, your homeland is being repositioned as a military and economic outpost. The cost pressures your family feels are not random. They are structural. Understand this not to despair, but to plan around it. If you're a Filipino watching from inside the country, you are living through a geopolitical transformation your government is not fully explaining to you. The decisions being made in Washington and Manila right now will define your economic reality for the next 20 years. And if you're an American who had a plan, who had a number, a city, a quiet beach town in mind, that plan needs to be updated, not abandoned, updated. Because the smartest people right now aren't the ones running from the empire, they're the ones who understand how it moves and position themselves 3 steps ahead of it. In my next video, I'm going to show you the economic pressure map of Southeast Asia. Which corridors are still viable? Which ones are already compromised? And what the people still winning in this environment are doing differently. If you made it here, you already think differently than most people. Hit subscribe. Drop a comment below. Tell me, do you still believe the Philippines is a viable escape from the American economy? I read every single comment, and I'll see you in the next one.